My mom is a Mohawk woman, status from Six Nations, and I didn't understand what that meant as a young person. And it's taken me time not only to come out with my own sexuality and my identity, but my identity as an Indigenous person and get to know myself that way and my culture. And that a big part of that is being Two-Spirit and honoring that. I advocate for any person to know their roots and their spirituality and let that find you and know you and ground you.
I first heard you at a Juno's Indigenous Showcase, and this was preceding the night of the Junos in May of 2021. And I thought to myself, Shawnee can sing, a solid roots vocalist with skills. And the song was sort of in a jazz style. Am I somewhere in the neighborhood there?
What did I sing?
I don't know.
I think it was maybe Heal. I think it was Heal.
Okay.
I think that's what I sang.
Yeah. You know, you said that, it was 12 years old, Shania Twain was an influence. We're not really in a time of great singers now. We got singers that manipulate the voice, and yours is standalone voice.
I recently have learned to love all the imperfections and all of the inflections that happen within recording. Like, I used to hate recording because I never sounded like someone on the radio. Like, when you listen to female artists and a female pop artist, there's a strict kind of like, there seems to be like, you tweak because you want to hear you don't want to hear the imperfections, which I find you lose some of the authenticity and you know, especially some of the topics that I sing about. So I've learned to love recording, and I purposefully say, don't touch it. Like, don't touch it. And I sometimes have to fight producers, and because it's so, they want to, it's the norm. It's how it goes. But I heard Pink say this, which kind of gave me the courage, because I first heard Pink say that when she records, she tells people, like, don't touch my vocal. I just want it to be authentic. And it kind of gave me the courage to do the same in those settings. But I love Etta James, Nina Simone. It's the artist Whitney Houston. I practiced those vocalists since I was young, and that's the kind of female artist I want to be now and in the future, like having those long, lengthy roller coaster of a career. Like, I just, in every aspect, look up to those type of artists. So that must come off.
Well, it gives you a flexibility where you can have longevity. The beginning of a Betty Carter, the beginning of a Sarah Vaughan, Etta James, when they're 19, 20, 21, 22 years old, they're amazing. And if you go back and you see the videos of them, it's in mono. They're in front of one microphone. They're just singing, and it's absolute perfection. And it's always something to strive for.
Yeah, it's so weird. And I feel like it's odd, and it could be like controversial to say this, but I feel like it goes against the grain. Like, I just want to find the beauty in the voice and the instrument and the voice. Like, I've worked so hard on my identity and, you know, like what being Indigenous does for my voice and what being a female does for my voice, and finding like what my voice is. I don't want to hide it or cover it. I just want it to be exactly what it's supposed to be through each phase of my career. And I can't wait to be old and look back and know, like, this is the journey of it all. And but it does feel like being in the music industry sometimes it's a little disheartening, because it feels like it almost goes against the grain, and trying to just be that and wholeheartedly be that in every setting, and not lean towards, you know, like having to shape it or mold it into something that's current, and having to change that every year because something else is different than it was last year.
When you hear a Nina Simone and when you hear a Nancy Wilson, when you hear these artists, you can identify them throughout their life. If you're driving a car, it doesn't matter where you're at. When you hear those voices, it's imprinted in your mind. And as a singer who has the quality voice that you have, I'm sure that's what we're talking about, that when we step away from it and you're singing whatever, people will say, that's Shawnee.
Yeah, I love going through Whitney's. I did it recently where I went through Whitney's like catalog, and I've never really I've never really done that. I mean, I know like her hits, but going through her catalog, I was like, what? This accumulation of different periods of her career and what types of styles she did, but it's always her. It's always her no matter what.
Yeah.
It comes up so strong. I think I could identify with. But yeah, it was really cool to be able to do that.
I was listening to like Building a Wall and some of the earlier material, and there's your voice there. And I was thinking about those moments you would have with a singer like Eva Cassidy, where the importance of the breath, the importance of phrasing, of tone is so much a part of the song. And we're back to singing it again. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's so funny to hear that song because I wrote it on GarageBand on my phone and went into studio and we recorded it. And then my wife was, when the whole Searchlight thing came up, entered the song, and I said, not that one, don't do that one. And she's like, no, this is the one, and sent it to Searchlight. And then we ended up kind of releasing it, and so, you know, people got to hear it. But it's so interesting, like how listening back to how I sang. I feel like I sing it differently than how I sing now. But yeah, I think just, it's not like the technicality of how I sing. I feel like I've purposefully tried not to take too seriously, other than I want to be able to hit my notes. I don't want to be able to identify my notes. I want to be able to, because I know when, you know, when things are working and when things are not. But the technicality of breath control, and I feel like there's just such a natural teacher in feeling. I have taken some lessons, but I can't sit still for that long. And I've learned from like I really feel like my singing teachers were like where I got that grit from, that breath control, that big powerhouse, but how to control the powerhouse. So it's, you know, it's a lot, but it's not too much, and how live is different from recording, through those artists, those female artists who, you know, how do they have that longevity? How did they not hurt their voice the next day? How did they, and kind of measuring what I'm doing and comparing to that, and just thinking about the emotion of what I'm saying. And I guess it just kind of accumulates together and comes out how it comes out.
Now, singing is one thing, but wrapping a note around a word, around a lyric, and you write lyrics, and your lyrics are very personal, and you're able to talk it. The notes have to match. You have to, I mean, the writing process is one thing, but to get to melody and the notes and the tone of that to match that so that you can express yourself in such a way.
Yeah, I mean, you do hear like songwriters talk about, like, people do this for a living and they have it measured out by, they call it's like a formula. How you write something that's catchy, how you write something that people want to listen to, and that's done in certain keys and certain tempos, and how you know, I've heard like kind of a great chorus is when you repeat 3 times, and then, but for me, it's about the message. For me, it's about the emotion. For me, it's about what I want people to know about me, what I'm saying. And so I feel like that supersedes any of what the recipe should be. And again, that kind of goes against the grain, especially as my career kind of evolves. It goes against the grain, and you know, you kind of want to come up with something that's catchy and that people are going to want to follow and listen to on repeat. But I think what I really want more than anything is for them to believe me, and for me to believe in what I'm saying. And so that comes out in whatever melody form that comes out in. And it depends what I'm saying. It's the emotion of what I'm saying. So that could come out in, maybe there's a bit of anger in what I'm saying. And it, you know, it kind of comes off more aggressively, and that's breath. Like how you would be stern with someone, that would come off in my writing. How you would be emotional with someone and tell them you hurt me, that would come off in how I'm writing. And I would take a pause and I would take a breath and then say it again. So there's just like so much that I don't really spend a lot of time like articulating in my own brain, but now that we're talking about it, which I've never done before, it's interesting.
When I listen to Neva Cassidy, which is absolutely perfection, and I'm thinking she's taken like Over the Rainbow, but she can take People Get Ready, or she could take Tennessee Waltz and convince you the person that did it first. There's something about that. Each word that goes by and the note that matches that word, how do you bring truth out of that? How do you make it authentic, and how do you make it yourself?
I think sometimes it comes from life experience too. Like as an artist, we have so much to say that we bring with us that some of us have been through, I feel like. And I think like the voice is such an interesting instrument because it's so front and center. You know, you have to believe it. You have to know it. You have to know what you're saying. You have to believe what you're saying, especially if it's someone else's. You know, to make it come across. And you can take a word like Over the Rainbow and it could be and paint it entirely different than the original writer had intended it, or someone would do after you, and just paint it because you know what it means to be over the rainbow, know what that means. And so the listener goes, I know too, because you know, I know, and I feel that, I can feel you. And it's just so fascinating to be able to do that with a voice. Like, it's crazy.
Haunt, the recent one, the voice is manipulated.
Just another Sunday, baby. Yes, I am your guy. No, you can't recreate me. I won't sit in silence, no. I'm not your canvas, baby. I've always been the eyes. I am the architect of everything you wanted. I am your words, your love, your heavens, your divine. But you gon' fuck it up, and I guess this means goodbye, 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 yeah. Won't clutch my pearls, honey. Do me dirty, gon' hear from me. I'm the ghost of futures past, the ghost of what you could have had. I won't clutch my pearls, honey. Hurt me, you gon' hear from me.
Yeah, the writers that, so this whole EP I find was a bit of like a journey and just kind of trying things on. And Haunt, I wrote at a camp with two people that I have never met before. And it was like a kind of DJ producer from LA. And then the writer that I wrote it with was also kind of like interested. It was very influenced by kind of the room. What I love about that song is what it says. I was ready to show my strengths, my power, my kind of my grit. And I think Haunt is what I had to include it in the EP because it's exactly what I was ready to say. But yeah, it's within that vein of kind of pop music.
Now you're at the Drake coming up.
Yes, my EP release is on October 23rd in Toronto at the Drake. And I'm just excited to play this music live. Some of them I haven't yet. And I'm excited to do that. It's kind of like I purposefully wanted it to be like an emotional kind of journey with its ups and its downs. That my music is kind of exactly like that. So, you know, it shows the powerhouse, it shows the vulnerability, and it brings you right back to powerhouse and ends off on a feel-good kind of feeling, is my intention. So I'm really excited to play the music live and celebrate with the people that have been with me along this journey, and celebrate with the people that, you know, are going to come out and share that time. And too many people and you can't quite connect with, you know, or there's only a few people. It's just that the circumstances don't matter anymore. I've learned that because of performing on a phone, I've learned that, you know, being a performer is much more than just whatever circumstances I have in front of me. It's how am I going to connect with what is in front of me? So.
Did you have a good summer touring?
Yeah, it's been a good summer.
Yeah.
It's been a very busy summer.
Especially after the last 2 years, right? Where we were locked in. It must have seemed like magic just to be out to.
I fell in love. Like, honestly, I think because of COVID, I fell in love, like, on a deeper level with performing live. And not because it was taken away, but because I was forced to do it on a phone, to perform on a phone, which is not,
No.
fun, but also it's important to continue doing. So I learned, I think, how to be a performer because of COVID, how to connect with people despite whatever like live circumstances you have, whether it's bad weather or the sound is a little off or there's